Kellybates Stewart is facing one of the most heartbreaking moments of her life. In an emotional update shared with fans, the Bringing Up Bates star revealed that her husband Evan Stewart had been rushed to the hospital under urgent and alarming circumstances. With tears streaming down her face in a trembling voice, Carlin described the night as a terrifying blur. Evan had suddenly become ill, so much so that emergency care was the only option. Though she didn't reveal the exact symptoms, her visible distress and the urgency in her voice told fans everything they needed to know. Something was seriously wrong. As Evan was being evaluated, Carlin remained by his side, visibly shaken and emotionally drained. She turned to her followers, many of whom have followed the couple's journey from courtship to marriage and parenthood, for prayers and strength. "This is the most heartbreaking moment I've ever lived," she confessed, her voice cracking with emotion. It was a vulnerable and honest appeal from a woman who has shared so many joyful moments with her audience, now asking them to walk with her through one of her darkest. This health scare is not the first for the young couple. Over the past few years, both Carlin and Evan have faced their own set of physical and emotional battles. Carlin has endured episodes of fainting and seizure-like activity since 2022. Spending time in and out of hospitals, undergoing neurological tests, and confronting the fears that come with unexplained health conditions. Fans watched as she bravely navigated EEGs, emergency visits, and parenting, all while remaining open about her fears. Now, the roles are reversed. Carlin, usually the one under observation, is watching helplessly as her husband fights through something still unexplained. The couple's shared journey through medical uncertainty has only strengthened their bond, but it has also tested their endurance. Just earlier this year, Evan's father suffered a severe health scare involving a suspected stroke. Around the same time, Carlin's mother underwent emergency surgery for kidney complications. It seemed like a wave of health crisis had swept through their extended family. And now Evan himself has become the latest victim of this cruel string of misfortunes. As the medical team works to determine the cause of Evan's condition, fans remain in the dark. Carlin has not shared a diagnosis or detailed symptoms, but her tone suggests a situation that may be serious. What's certain is that Evan was taken to the hospital quickly, possibly for cardiac symptoms or neurological evaluation. Specialists are reportedly running tests, and Carlin has promised to keep supporters informed as more information becomes available. Meanwhile, support has poured in from all corners of social media. Followers have flooded Carlin's Instagram and YouTube comment sections with prayers, encouragement, and heartfelt messages. "You've always been so strong, Carlin." One commenter wrote, "We're praying for Evan and for peace in your heart tonight." Family members known for their tight-knit dynamic are reportedly rallying around the couple just as they have in past crises. The Bates family has long been known for their deep-rooted faith and unwavering love, and this situation is no different. Carlin, who is also pregnant with the couple's third child, now faces the unimaginable challenge of supporting her husband while managing the stress of her own health and pregnancy. This adds another layer of emotional weight to an already overwhelming moment as she juggles her role as a mother, wife, and public figure. Carlin's resilience is being tested once again. But if her past is any indication, she'll meet this moment with courage and grace, even through the tears. Though details remain sparse, one thing is abundantly clear. This isn't just a medical scare. It's a deeply emotional chapter in the Stewart family story, one that highlights the fragility of life and the strength of love. Fans are holding their breath, waiting for good news. But until then, they stand united in prayer and hope. Carlin and Evan have shared so much of their lives with the world. And now, in their time of greatest need, the world is sending all of that love and support right back. Carlin Stewart stood at the window of their Tennessee farmhouse, sunlight spilling over the hills as her daughter, Isla, chased butterflies across the yard. Zaid, her youngest, babbled on the rug behind her, content with blocks and the giggles that only a toddler could muster. It should have been a perfect morning, but something wasn't right. She'd been ignoring the signs for weeks now: dizzy spells, an odd tingling in her legs, and a fatigue that no amount of sleep could cure. She chalked it up to motherhood, to stress, to anything else. After all, who had time to be sick? When Isla tripped and cried out, Carlin rushed outside. But halfway across the lawn, her legs gave out. She collapsed. 3 days later, neurological Colin repeated in disbelief as the doctor's voice cut through the sterile room. Evan held her hand tighter, his other arm protectively around their daughter. Yes, the neurologist said, I study. There's something affecting your central nervous system. The tests aren't conclusive yet, but we're seeing patterns we don't like. But Colin blinked. I'm only 26. I can't. This doesn't make sense. Evan spoke, voice hushed. What kind of patterns? The doctor hesitated. Some of what we're seeing resembles early signs of autoimmune neurological disorders. Possibly multiple sclerosis. But what concerns me more right now is ILA. Both parents turned toward their daughter, who sat coloring quietly in the corner of the room. What about ILA? Kerrin asked, her breath catching. She's been having headaches and fatigue. Correct. Kerrin nodded slowly. But I thought it was just normal tiredness. Preschool play. She's just active. We need to run tests, the doctor said carefully. It might not be related, but there are some signs that this could be genetic or environmental. Weeks passed, the tests came back slowly, each one a hammer to the heart. Colin's symptoms progressed: numbness, confusion, memory lapses. The official diagnosis: a rare autoimmune neuroinflammatory disease, one that would require years of treatment, and possibly would never go into full remission. But nothing shattered her like the call they got one rainy Thursday afternoon. ILA tested positive for the same markers. The doctor said it's rare, but in families it can happen. She fell into Evan's arms sobbing. She's just a baby. Faith in the fire. Evan tried to be strong. He handled medication schedules, watched Zaid while Colin rested, and took ILA to therapy appointments. But at night, he cried on the floor of their bathroom, begging God for answers. Colin, once the vibrant center of her family's famous reality show, now struggled to dress herself some mornings. But the hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was watching her children go through it. ILA started losing coordination. She couldn't climb stairs like she used to. She was tired all the time. Zaid, still too young to be tested, was showing early signs, too. It was like a dark cloud hovered over their home. But Colin refused to let despair win. Autumn swept across Tennessee with golden leaves and colder winds. A bittersweet beauty that Colin once loved. But now it only marked more time lost to sickness. Time stolen. Colin sat curled on the couch wrapped in her favorite knit blanket. Her hair, once full and flowing, was thinner now. Her legs HDHD. But it wasn't her pain that haunted her. It was Isla's. The little girl who used to spin in circles, singing off-key songs about rainbows and lollipops, now struggled to walk across the room without stumbling. The disease was progressing faster in her than anyone expected. Mommy, Isla whispered one evening, her big eyes full of confusion. Why am I always tired? Why can't I play with Zaid anymore? Kerrin swallowed the lump in her throat. Your body's just fighting something right now, baby, but we're going to help it. Isla blinked. Will God help, too? Kerrin smiled weakly, brushing a strand of hair from Isla's forehead. He already is. A desperate search for answers. Evan dove into research. Every night, once the kids were asleep, he pored over medical journals and case studies, messaging specialists in New York, Boston, even overseas. He wasn't just trying to save his wife anymore. He was trying to save his daughter, too. One night, he burst into the bedroom with his laptop. Colin, half asleep, sat up with a jolt. There's a clinic, he said breathlessly. In Switzerland, they've been testing an immunotherapy protocol on pediatric neuroimmune cases. It's not FDA approved here yet, but their remission rates are high. Her eyes widened. You think it could help ILA? He nodded. And you, too. But the cost. Evan's face tightened. It's not cheap. Flights, housing, treatment would need to raise over $200,000. But if it means a future for Layla, Colin took his hand, then we do it. Going public, they had kept things quiet until now, protecting their kids' privacy, their peace. But the time had come. Colin sat in front of the camera one rainy Tuesday morning. No makeup, hair pulled into a messy bun. Her hands trembled in her lap as Evan adjusted the tripod. "Hey everyone," she said, voice wavering. "I never thought I'd make a video like this. But my daughter is sick. And so am I." She told their story honestly from the diagnosis to the days ILA could barely hold a crown. "We believe in miracles," she said, voice cracking. "But sometimes miracles come through people, through you." Within hours, the video spread like wildfire. Messages flooded in. Fans, friends, strangers, they all shared their own stories of suffering and hope. The GoFundMe, they quietly attached it past $50,000 by nightfall. The Bates family rallies. When Colin's parents and siblings learned the full scope of her condition, they circled the wagons. Kelly, Joe, and Gil came to the house every other day, helping with meals, cleaning, and babysitting. Even the younger Bates kids chipped in. Aaron baked meals. Alyssa helped coordinate the fundraiser. Zach offered to drive them to appointments when Evan was too tired to speak. "Family's what matters," Gil told Carlin one night. "It's always been that way. You carried so much for others. Now it's our turn." One last scare before Switzerland, just 2 weeks before they were due to leave for Switzerland. ILA collapsed at the dinner table. 1 second, she was eating mashed potatoes. The next, her body tensed and her eyes rolled back. Colin screamed. Evan caught her just before she hit the floor. "Call 911. Colin sobbed, clutching Isla's hand as she lay unconscious. The seizure only lasted 40 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed what they feared. The disease was beginning to impact Isla's brain. If they didn't intervene now, it could lead to permanent damage. "She can't wait," the neurologist said gravely. "If you have a plan, move now." Colin looked to Evan and he nodded.